Hey, what it do? What it do? Bless up. Middle of the week, getting through. On let's talk about relationships, friendships, companionship. Kind of use them interchangeably. Gonna go to school this afternoon. Get back in the pocket. Quarterback back in the pocket, throwing a little bit. But I was just thinking about like what are relationships, and I don't even mean that from an American standpoint. Like I'm talking about around the world. I'm talking about in Africa. I'm talking about like a island. Like, what is a relationship to them? What does a relationship means to us? And do our model of what a relationship's supposed to be, is it the correct model? Is there other ways and other systems that are better? Um, it's kind of funny when you think about, for instance, people in other countries, way, far off, um, and how. Before I get to that, let me explain. At the core of relationships is survival and continuation. Which is why people get together. Not all, but get together, have children. It's in essence your way of giving back to the world and where you are, which is why um people get together. It's really, in essence, it's a survival instinct. It's a natural survival instinct. Whether that's in a local area, local community, a country, a region, no matter what the case. And it's a way of preserving the inner self. What I mean the inner self is that it and comes out through your children. So it's a way of preserving you, your culture, your legacy, your people. That's what relationships at the core is. It's survival. And it's survival of you, and it's a continuation of you, your children, so on and so forth. In essence, when you're talking about foreign countries, if you will, that's why some of them set up different type of policies, and now I don't want to use word policies. That's why they have different type of regulations and how they operate. Even to the point, in some countries, even to this day, you got people that women or men may marry their cousins. And to us over here in the West, that seem backwards, but you know what I'm saying? That was their way of preserving who they were. That was their way of making sure that the thing continues. You know what I'm saying? That there's no hiccups in the system, if you will. Whether it's get old, reproduce, have children. It's like keeping that thing going. And in essence, even when you think about America, like, not to that degree, and you have other the essence of relationships really in so many other places was families connecting, and kind of like steering you into a person and or a direction, and it had so many different other meanings. Like when you're talking about marriage and you're getting really, really deep, I think over here, you see how, of course, it's a lot different. I think especially even with our community, probably in the last, I don't know how many years, but it's more so like people are for themselves. You know what I'm saying? You can meet through other people, but for the most part, you're trying to holler at a person. Nowadays, it could be online dating, but that. So what happens is that kind of messes with the relationship structure. When a culture doesn't, a culture or people or area or region, whatever you want to say, when they don't have a way of preserving relationships, when they don't have a way of truly figuring out conflict and keeping the main root, which is survival, and in essence living in harmony. Because if you're gonna survive with somebody, you want to have a level of harmony. If a people or culture is not teaching that, then in essence they're teaching destruction, because they're not teaching the essence of how to even conduct yourself in a relationship, and or how to how to really be in the one, and have that community support. What does it even mean to have children? Is that an independent thing, or is that a thing where in other places in the world, it was a community, or it was a, you know, maybe a grandma chipped in and was there consistently. Is our way the best way, or is it another way? Whether that's child rearing, whether that's education, whether that's health, whether that's companionship, relationship. I think we constantly have to ask ourselves, as people over here, you know, within our communities, what's best for us. And I think that goes right into what I'm talking about with relationships. Even down to who you are. What type of person do you want? Um, do you know yourself to know what you want? So outside of knowing that relationships are about survival and necessity and all that, I think the second thing too is about, it's a great thing when you can be on the same page with a person. You know what I'm saying? If you consider yourself to be conscious, I think it's a beautiful thing if the person you talk to is. You know, if you consider yourself to be, let's say, you know, a nut for health, and I'm just making this up. I think it's cool if your mate is a person that have those same qualities. Um, like whatever it is that you truly are, if you love nature, you love reading, then it's a beautiful thing to have that in a mate. Like what you are, who you are, I think it's a beautiful thing to have that reflection. Now that person not gonna be just like you, and then again, maybe that person, of course, should not even be just like you. But when you have that reflection, that's really what's missing. You know what I'm saying? It's everybody think it's, you know, they ask, you know, relationships. No, it's not a crisis. It's the people are missing their reflection, because when you have your reflection, you're gonna love it. You're gonna try to help it. You're gonna really try to invest in it, because you see your reflection as what, part of you, metaphorically speaking. So without and see, man, that's one of the reasons why the social engineers of culture always, they're always picking at one side. And I'm not trying to be funny, but well, no, I can't even just say one. They pick at one side, but they usually use both sides. So that's why you have this quote unquote rift within certain communities when it comes to love, when it comes to relationships. Um, those perceived rifts are there and put in purpose like speed bumps to slow you down. Reason being because they know that if you're able to harmoniously see yourselves as a reflection of the self, which is not always easy because sometimes the self is not pretty. So what if you not being pretty? You might need to be in a relationship with somebody that's not pretty, and I don't mean looks. I'm talking about inside. People not ready to have that talk. What if at your core you say, man, I got some flaws. So you know what? My expectations in relationships should be, if I got a few flaws, I'm gonna meet a person that gonna have some flaws. It's a reflection game. And see, when they stopped us from having that reflection with the women, it creates the division, because you no longer see each other as a part of each other. And that's really dangerous, man. That's really dangerous. That's why cultures preserve their way of doing relationships. That's why cultures preserve their way of dating. I'm telling you, it seems so trivial. It seems so whatever you want to call it. But when you don't have that, it's every man and every woman for themselves. And the thing with that is, it's a level of confusion, because if the people aren't in control of it, their culture and their views on relationships and love and survival and whatnot, if they're not in control of them thoughts, then they're gonna think like the people who implanted them thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Via whatever the case may be, you know, culture, music, whatever the case may be. You know, it's very subtle, man. But that reflection, I'm telling you, man, it's beautiful when you can find a reflection of you. And then that's something that's not easy. You know, that's not easy to find, you know, but if you're able to find it, you found a key that unlocks one of the mysteries of life. When you found that person, when you found that woman, and she's a lock, and that compatibility is so strong that whether it's, I don't care, man, you're into forming and she's into forming, and I mean, it just, whatever the case may be, like, if y'all have those things that can tie you together, I think there's something so powerful with that. And that's something that they've kind of disconnected us from, is that reflection of one another. That's true companionship. And that's natural. And that's not just two people. That's supposed to be even bigger than that. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be even bigger than that. But that's just something to think on. Like, within this country, once you quote unquote have awoken, become woke, you're starting to see some things, see the light a little bit. You have to ask yourself, okay, now what are my views on relationships? Have I been conditionally trained for a certain way? Is there areas I can improve in? Like, but ultimately, look at relationships as, am I looking at this in a healthy lens? Am I looking at this in the right lens, or am I looking at this in the lens of a person who have been conditioned in one way or another? And true, we all have to a degree, but I'm saying, I think once you've awakened, once you start have some understanding, that should even change how you look at relationships. You no longer even look at them the same, and that's really deep. If you can understand that concept, like, once you've awakened, your view on relationships should totally look different, because then it goes into, you're being a tree and you're planting your roots, man. Then it goes into survival. And I don't mean survival in the sense of just how we're going to make it. I'm talking about survival in health, wisdom, intellect, understanding, spirituality. Like that's when it's supposed to get deeper, but in a beautiful way. That's when you're sinking those deeper roots, because you're trying to get greater fruit. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's supposed to be. Why do you think why do you think it was be fruitful? Why do you think it said be fruitful? Because now you operating with a seed, and that takes two. Now, when you're talking about taking two and you're talking about seed, then you're talking about producing something. And I think the power with this is, as two people, or whatever case may be, relationships, however y'all figure it out, in the sense of, what you're producing is not just, you might not even have kids. Let's say you're producing love. Let's say you're producing peace. Let's say you're producing balance to this world. Let's say you're producing supreme health to one another. Help to one another. Health to one another. I mean, it's so many different angles. And that's why that's one of the constant things that is under attack. Because if people are able to crack that code, they're able to live. But the thing about that is, though, the people have to be able to think for themselves. Because if they don't think for themselves, their relationships will never function properly. Because in essence, they'll be in relationships with another set of people expectations. Peace.